edition of the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Sport. Once again, it is the Tony and Barnes show. Shanna from the couch. Anthony, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well on this beautiful Monday, dude. A little warmer than I thought it would be, to be honest. Kind of sweaty, but nonetheless, it's Monday. Phenomenal football to recap. Some ferocious hockey to recap, but I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many places to go between the Jets' big win, Odell getting hammered, the Rangers blowing it, Rodgers down for the count. So many things to go over. But let's start in the world of the National Football League.
6 for 101, 2 touchdowns. Touchdown, Tampa Bay! How about that throw? Sam Darnold blasted! Oh my goodness, did he take a hit? In trouble, what? Brings him down. Loft one for Odell Beckham Jr. Got it down. Touchdown!
All right, Tony. So after,
Could you say what you just said though before? While
we'll talk about that when we talk about Sam Darnold. But
okay.
the Jets, Tony, the Jets are back 31-10 over the Bears. And what a way to rebound in the wake of that embarrassing 10-3 loss to New England last week. The embarrassing post-game press conference of Zach Wilson, who hit the pine for this one. And let's just say Mike White more than answered the call. 22 of 28, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, really did every single thing the Jets could ask for. And the thing is, at half, he had over 200 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, both to Garrett Wilson. And then he also hit Elijah Moore for a 22-yard touchdown in the third quarter. Great to get him involved, but obviously Garrett Wilson, as far as receivers go,
right.
I mean, he's that receiver you're expecting to be the Jets' number one wide receiver for the next 10 plus years. So it was great to see that. And it's just like, I think it really cemented the fact that, Zach Wilson probably is no longer a New York Jet. I think that's the biggest thing. And Dave, I don't know if you listened to him at all this morning, literally said he is the modern day Jamarcus Russell.
Oh my gosh.
And listen, I mean, I just said this to you before the show. I think the biggest thing that shows how good Mike White is and how Zach Wilson is just not right for the part is that in 3 games, 3 starts anyway, Mike White has had 2 great starts. Zach Wilson in 20 starts has not had 1 good start. And I think it's as simple as that. Because we saw last year too, Josh Johnson, play well in this offense. Even Joe Flacco compared to what Zach Wilson was doing this year. So I think it's just enough with the excuses. And I think a lot of people hold on to Zach Wilson because it's like, we really don't want to be wrong. We invested a very high draft pick, but it's like, when you know you're wrong, you just cut your losses. You know, you don't just keep throwing the same thing out there. And another thing that I said to you pre-show is the fact that last year, the way Mike White was handled was ridiculous. He had a great game. He had 1 terrible game. And it's like, no more chances. And Zach Wilson obviously finished the season after that and just didn't do anything that was inspiring. And I just think there's something to the fact that he was waived, released, cut, practice squad like 10 times before really getting a spot on the Jets. I just think he's hungry, he's determined, and he's respected by his locker room. And I think that's something that Zach Wilson doesn't have. And I know, like, you could say, okay, this is the Bears, but the thing is, Zach Wilson has played a variety of teams. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. He has not had a game like this. And I am thoroughly convinced I would say more so that, maybe Zach Wilson in a different situation can succeed, but I am more convinced about Mike White. I really think he is the future answer at quarterback for the Jets. And we see this all the time with, guys picked in the middle rounds that weren't those top 10 picks, top 15 picks, first round picks, end up succeeding, changing teams. And I really think that this is going to be the same situation. It's just like watching that game yesterday, Tony. I mean, how could you say that he at least doesn't deserve the shot and that you wouldn't feel pretty good? I mean, obviously there's talent there.
Yeah, I mean, I really, you can't really argue with that. I mean, I think he deserves the shot. I mean, you compare him, at least this game, with some of the better games that Wilson has had this season. I mean, I don't think he has one game where he threw over 300 yards.
No, he did, but he threw two interceptions.
That was it against the Pats? No.
No.
First game against the Pats?
I'll have to pull it up, but I know it.
Right.
Yardage was great, but then there was
but
more
then
interceptions,
turnovers and whatnot. Right. I mean, I feel like, that was kind of Zach Wilson's narrative the whole season. Whereas, you know what? Like, yeah, he's not like he's throwing for 150 yards, but he's not having any turnovers. And the Jets are having, they're having a winning record, so it was kind of like dealing with it. And then I guess maybe, some of his attitude, some ego got in the way here. I mean, the big question mark was how the locker room would kind of respond to, Zach Wilson's kind of lack of accountability. And, in comes Mike White. I would imagine, I mean, I didn't really hear much, post-game sound. But I imagine, Saleh, the other players around Mike White here were more than happy with his performance. And, like you said, you can see it on the field. I mean, his teammates were playing for him. He was having fun on the sidelines here. He was honestly just seemingly excited to have his opportunity to be a starting quarterback. And, in terms of the storyline, we've seen it before where it is players who do get cut from this team end up getting picked back up. He's in the practice squad, whatever it is. It does create that kind of, I guess, hungry mentality. Whereas, this is his shot. He's going to do the best he can. He's going to be a respected, kind of no nonsense, not let his attitude or ego get in the way type of player. And that's what you saw yesterday. I do say, though, I know he had some good games in the past, some bad games in the past, but I mean, I do think that it's not just like, he's our starter yet. I do want to see what he does against Minnesota. I mean, just one good game isn't going to be enough. And what happens if next week he comes out and throws 4 picks? And what are you going to say then? Is it? But
that's the thing is, though, that's just not going to happen because Minnesota's defense is just as porous as Chicago. And just the fact, like I said, it's simple math. Zach Wilson's had 20 starts, and he could not do one time, Tony, just one time what Mike White did yesterday. And I think that's the biggest problem.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying, but I think for the most part, Zach Wilson wasn't losing the games.
But it's like, you know what it is, though? There's just, he was coddled. There was excuses made. And I'll tell you this, and they will never admit it. I knew it before the season when Zach was injured preseason and they went with Joe Flacco to start those first 3 games instead of Zach Wilson. It wasn't because they thought Joe Flacco would do a better job. It's because they didn't want the controversy of Mike White. 100%. They knew he had that big game, and that's why instantly he was pulled after that 4 interception game last year against the Bills. They wanted to stay away from controversy. They wanted to give Zach every chance. They did give him every chance, and he didn't accept that chance. He didn't thrive for that chance. He didn't step up. He didn't do what he was supposed to do, and I think that's why he will never start another game for the New York Jets.
That's crazy.
Some comments from Matthew?
We have quite a few comments from Matthew. They're pouring in, actually. He says, wow, Barnes, good call right there. He says, performance? Are you saying there's something wrong with my gear? Anything?
Maybe I'm supposed to pick up on it. I don't know. I guess
BMS? I don't know.
BMS. It could be BMS. It definitely could be BMS.
You really think he's like a Jamarcus?
Yes, he is Jamarcus because it's like I said, Tony, and especially it's different than it was 20 years ago. The way the rules are, the way defenses are, the way offenses are spread out. You can't do absolutely nothing at the quarterback position, and then it'd be, well, it's the team. It's what's around them.
Right.
It's the coaching staff. That doesn't work anymore. And I think this is a perfect example. And like I said, the indictment on Zach Wilson doesn't just stop at Mike White. like I said, Josh Johnson. Is Josh Johnson even in the league this year? I think he threw for almost 300 yards in relief of Mike White when he got injured last year against the Colts. And then Joe Flacco, there's no denying it. Joe Flacco did 100 times better job running the offense in his 3 starts this year. So it's like there's nothing to talk about. That's the thing. And it's like, maybe Zach will go to another team next year where he can at least learn from a guy from a year. I mean, I think the perfect situation would be, and we'll see where he goes, because I don't know if Brady's going to stay in Tampa, but wherever he goes, Zach Wilson should be his backup and just follow him around like a puppet, because that's what he needs. And you could say, sure, last year even, maybe the coaching, it's not the best, this and that, but then it's like, but why is Mike White able to do it? So that's why it's like, I almost think everything falls on Zach Wilson as to why he has been a failure so far up to this point in his career.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's just so like clean and cut yet.
But why? What is he showing you? But what is he showing you that he deserves another chance?
No, it's not what he's shown me. It's what Mike White hasn't shown me yet.
But he's showing you a lot more than Zach Wilson.
I suppose.
He's had a 7th, Tony. A 7th of the opportunity. 1/7, Tony. Not even 1/7. So I just think it's open and it's closed. There's too much talent on this team. You know how frustrated Elijah Moore, he's demanding a trade. And then he has a great game yesterday because he has a competent quarterback who can make throws. And you saw them too open up the playbook. And they had been
but Elijah Moore, talk about being coddled and, having an ego. I mean,
well, because he wants the ball. I mean, it's not that hard. He's a guy who can't even look, can't even scan the field. There's nothing to defend, though. That's it. I'm sorry. There's not.
First of all, Elijah Moore had 2 catches yesterday. He had 2 catches. It's not even like it's a whole big deal.
He has not done one good thing in his NFL career.
I wouldn't say that.
You can't be drafted 2nd overall and do that. It's that simple. There's no excuse. There's no free pass. That's it. That's literally it. And I think it's completely embarrassing, but I just think the sooner that you move on from him, you admit the mistake, and you could just go forward. Because I feel like with Mike White at the helm, regardless of anything, regardless of how successful he's going to be, you have a chance passing the ball. And with Zach Wilson, you couldn't say that. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I think it's a great thing for the Jets, because going up against Minnesota, sure, that's not an easy spot. But at the same time, I feel like we can actually compete with their passing offense, because we know Kirk Cousins is going to air it out to Justin Jefferson. And I think we have a very good opportunity there in a dome stadium. And I'm just going to call this right now. And I know, we're a little less than a week away from this game. Mike White's going to have another 300-yard performance next week with at least 2 touchdowns. I just know it's going to happen. And I just know talent when I see it. And I know somebody, that is really grasping that opportunity. And when you see somebody like that, you see someone that's motivated, you see someone that inspires others, you don't let them go. And I think that's what the Jets have on their hands here.
My mother's checking in here. She says, hello. And she wants to know why that quarterback, Mike White, was on the bench for so long.
Because the Jets, you know what this actually reminds me of?
It's pretty crazy.
Very, very different situation, but yet similar. Eli Manning, end of his career. Why, they brought in Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones didn't start his rookie season at the beginning. Why? Because they're concerned about feelings. And that's the same thing here. How is Zach going to handle it? And they just know that deep down they made a mistake at number 2, and he's weak. And that's the biggest thing. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because we have a very talented football team, and that's what I'm excited about. That's all you could ask for. Garrett Wilson, final line yesterday, 595, 2 touchdowns, 19 yards a catch. So you love to see that. 5 catches on 8 targets. A big story here, and it was funny. I was texting Chokri about this. He didn't even realize he was in the NFL. Zonovan Knight, was active yesterday. James Robinson, a healthy scratch, whatever the reason may be. Michael Carter leaves with that ankle injury. So he's from NC State, 14 carries, 69 yards, 4.9 yards a carry. That could be another guy that could be a piece. Tyler Johnson played more last year, but 5 carries, 62 yards and a score. So the Jets really handled the Bears. And that was big with that Patriots loss. So now they're a full game ahead of them in the standings. And this could be a week, Tony, where if everything falls right, you could be looking at the New York Jets in sole possession of first place because, you have the Patriots playing the Bills on Thursday night. And then if the Dolphins were to lose on Sunday against the 49ers, the Jets, virtue of their tiebreaker over the Bills, would be in first place in the AFC East. And I think that's where we will really see the true test for Mike White. Because like I said, this Minnesota secondary is banged up. The defense just is not strong. I mean, you saw how easily the Patriots scored against them. They couldn't do anything against the Jets. They just scored on a punt return touchdown and had a field goal. So, that I know he's going to succeed. But if in Buffalo, you never know how the weather's going to be. There could be snow. There could be high winds. If he's able to gut out a win there, and it's very ironic, that's the team that, sent him to the bench last year, then I think there's no questions to be asked. And I think you could agree with that as well.
Yes, I could agree with that much, Brian.
But what an exciting time for the New York Jets, though.
It really is outrageous, dude.
Something that no one saw coming.
No, literally. And honestly, I think it says a lot about the organization, though, from what you're saying, where they didn't want to start Mike White in the beginning because they knew he was going to be good and didn't want to cause a controversy. I mean, isn't that kind of like stupid?
Oh, it's very stupid. But you know what? Hopefully it's a learning experience, and the Jets front office has to know that, for them to stay in place, I think obviously Rob Saleh's done a good job. And of course, for the most part, Joe Douglas has made some great moves, but it's like, you can't whiff on number 2. Right. And then when you made that mistake, you can't try to hide it. And I think that's a perfect example of what they tried to do. But of course, you have a great season. All is forgiven,
Zach Wilson,
and you have a future going forward. So that's what it's all about. A couple other comments here.
Yes. My mother says, really? I didn't think they had feelings. I thought it was just about what's best for the team. Apparently not. And then Matthew says, Mary, your cheesecake was out of this world, otherworldly, best I've ever had. I'm not even kidding. We had some more cheesecake at Thanksgiving, Brian. It was amazing.
Unbelievable cheesecake. I don't think I got to personally thank your mother, but wow.
I actually
she told her.
Yeah, she missed the episode, but I showed her the clip of you eating it. Oh, so funny, dude. Yeah, she did. And then Buffer says, your thoughts on Odell Beckham removed from the airplane. Will it hurt teams signing him?
No, Jerry.
I don't think so either.
Jerry will pay him more now if you would like to sign with him. But a lot of reports, the driver, Instagram posts, everybody's saying he's going to the Giants. What do you think about that? Heavy noise regarding that.
I know. I mean, I think the Giants would somewhat be stupid not to take him if he wanted to go. I mean, when you think about who they have at wide receiver, nobody. So, I mean, again, they would be stupid if he wants to go to the Giants. I think he's meeting with them on Friday.
Yeah.
And then he's going to Buffalo that night.
Breathalyze him or no?
No,
I mean, that was a little embarrassing.
Dude.
I mean,
the airplane thing.
Yeah.
Did you hear that he was just asleep and he woke up and he was like off the plane, didn't know what happened? Like, do you think that's bogus or what?
Yeah, I think he was definitely hammered because it's like even if you're the deepest sleeper, Tony, eventually, sir, you have to exit the plane.
Yeah, like what the hell, dude?
Come on, all right. Like he definitely was on something.
So weird, dude. Like what is it with him, dude?
It's always
some controversy.
But the thing is, is it possible this deters the Giants?
I mean, I would think so. I mean, the one thing he brought to the Giants organization was controversy and bullshit outside the field.
Yeah.
And here he is, not even in the meeting yet, and he's already causing shit on an airplane.
Jerry's all over it.
What the
Jerry
hell?
will make a joke about it in the introductory press conference.
Probably, dude.
But for talking about that, and then also the thoughts on Deshaun Watson coming back next week. And I was just about to talk about the Browns win over the Buccaneers in overtime.
Crazy,
but I can't wait to see it because this Browns team, I know they're 4-7, they're underachieved, but they had obviously that game against the Jets. So you just think about that right there. That was a game they win 99.9% of the time.
They got Chubb. I mean,
that would be 5-6 right now.
Yeah.
Completely different game. So I think they will find themselves on the outside looking in. But obviously, all that guaranteed money to Deshaun Watson, he's going to be their quarterback. So I think it's very important him to get continuity with the rest of the team, moving forward. And, I think maybe they'll rally for a 9-8 finish. I think 10-7, 6 in a row will be tough. That being said, I was impressed with their win over the Bucs yesterday, gutting it out in overtime, couple punts back and forth. And then the Browns end up scoring to win this game, sending the Bucs to 5-6. Browns picking up their 4th victory of the season. Brissett in his final start as a Brown, most likely 23 of 37, 210, a touchdown and an interception. Nick Chubb, you mentioned, once again, 116 yards on the ground and 26 carries, had a score. Amari Cooper led the way receiving, 7 catches, 94 yards. Did you see the catch by David Njoku in the end zone?
In the end zone, yeah. The one-hander. Unbelievable.
And the thing is, they're a run-heavy team. Obviously, they've been playing a backup quarterback up to this point. He had some injuries he was dealing with, but David Njoku is pretty good.
Real deal.
If he could get a lot of targets, he could be an 1,000-yard receiver, that's for sure. But a lot of mouths to feed when you think about Kareem Hunt out of the backfield and, how much they commit to the run.
How are they not way better than they are?
Well, you think about the Jets game 5-6, and there's definitely some examples. I mean,
still,
I could dive into them.
You think Watson elevates anything?
Honestly, they might take a step back the first game, but
Texans there's no way, dude.
Easy team, definitely not. But first, tough opponent. I think we could have some trouble there. And like the game after that at Cincinnati, that could be a tough game. Michael says
Barnes, I see you can't stop staring at Henrik.
Unbelievable picture, honestly. That I feel like I'm at the Garden right now.
It's so freaking cool, huh?
That's an awesome poster for sure. Chogri says they are the Browns, LOL. But yeah, that is very true. They also have to play Baltimore, and they are at Washington, and then Week 17 at the Steelers. So I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for him.
No.
But if you look at the Browns, they lost to the Falcons by 3. They lost to the Ravens by 3. Obviously, the Jets by 1. So that's 3 games right there, and they lost to the Chargers by 2. So perfect example of just crunch time, not getting the job done. And then what do we have here?
Michael. Well, Matthew says Renee was touching Hank's butt yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Very nice. And then Michael says also happy the Jets won, but tight if Zach is a bust because of how high we drafted him. ...
Yeah, but you know what, Michael? I hate to be so business-like regarding Zach.
You were so excited to get rid of him, honestly.
I am, because it's like he should have shown it from the beginning. He hasn't, and in a perfect example of what he should have done this year, Trevor Lawrence by no means had a perfect rookie season. This year, we've seen what he's going to be, and he showed flashes of that, and we'll get to his game in a second too. Zach clearly hasn't done that, so sayonara, Tony. And then
but Fur says Deshaun Watson hasn't played in over 2 years. His skills might have been diminished sitting out of suspension.
I think the Texans will speed that up temporarily.
Is he able to work out or not?
A couple weeks ago it started. So, but it's not going to be. He's not going to play like Zach Wilson. Let's just say that.
So you play Mike White.
In between. But what do you think though? Kiss of death, Tony, for the Bucs here, 5-6 after this overtime loss yesterday.
Yeah, I really can't see them coming back from that, dude.
Who's going to win that division though? Falcons lost.
Definitely not the Falcons.
Somebody has to win it. Bucs still might win it.
I guess they could still win it. I don't know, dude. You know who pisses me off? Evans really pisses me off, honestly.
Why is that?
He seems lazy.
I mean, it's possible.
There was a couple plays where I feel like, he could have kind of laid out for a ball or something, and just kind of like, it seems like he pulls back a little bit, doesn't want to give that extra.
You know what's interesting, though? This division is actually very much so at play, because you look at it, Falcons at 5-7 are a half game back, and then the Panthers and Saints are both 4-8. So crazier things have happened.
Dude, the Panthers
division wide open. Sam Darnold
can take it,
to get there. We'll get there in a second, but that was definitely an exciting game between the Bucs and the Browns from yesterday. Another close game. We saw the Bengals edge out the Titans 20-16. So Burrow making do without Jamar Chase once again. T. Higgins filling in admirably. He had 7 receptions, 114 yards to the score. They were also without Joe Mixon, but Samaje Perine had 17 carries for 58 yards in the score. And I thought, Tennessee, I know they had been hot and Tannehill didn't play bad. But in a game against a quality opponent, in a big spot, I just feel like they just don't have enough to come up with a win. So I think that's a big win for Cincinnati as they look to, take control of this division and benefited from that Ravens loss yesterday, which we'll get to in a second. Dolphins put up 30 in the first half, 30-0 lead over the Texans. They get shut out in the second half, but still win 30-15. So kind of the same old story for the Dolphins. When Tua starts, they win. He was a little off yesterday, and then they took him out in the fourth quarter because of the lead. But he did hit Waddle and Hill both at 85 yards receiving. Hill had to leave with an injury, but I think it was just cramp, so he should be just fine. Miami at 8-3. Are they the best team in the AFC East, Tony?
Yeah, right. How could they not be?
Jets?
No.
Jets have the head-to-head victory.
Jury's still out, dude.
Big second meeting between them. I think that'll really solidify things, as well as that game against the Bills. So a lot of important games coming up for the Jets. The Commanders, the water jugs are full, Tony.
Oh,
they're running the football. Brian Robinson over 100 yards yesterday. They're now 7-5 after a 1-4 start. I believe Taylor Heineke also is 4-1 as a starter. Once again, nothing crazy. 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mentioned Robinson going for 105 as a team. They ran for 176 yards. And Robinson also caught a touchdown through the air. Falcons, another tough loss here. 5-7, still in the division. But I think they're just limited somewhat with Mariota, despite having a strong running game between Algier and Patterson. Are you buying the Commanders as a tough out in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they have momentum on their side. They also have a phenomenal fan base. The team's, rallying around Heineke. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, it's not that they're a hard team to beat, but again, when you have momentum on your side and you have some grit, you have some we have nothing to lose mentality, you really have to be careful not to overlook them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, couldn't have said it better myself. Russell Wilson throws his 300th career touchdown.
Oh, wow. Good for him, dude.
But the Broncos lose 23-10 at the hands of the Carolina Panthers.
So
Sam Darnold in his return to the field.
Did you see
with
his
the victory.
touchdown?
I did see the touchdown, only 164 yards passing.
Right.
They were a run-heavy attack in this one, 185 yards. So gashing that tough Denver defense. What do you think about Sam Darnold? I mean, it's still a long shot for the division, but, he's going to be a free agent at the season's end. Is there an opportunity here for Darnold to possibly get a second look at Carolina, or you think new coaching staff will come in, he's hitting the street?
Yeah, I think more than likely he'll hit the street at this point with a new coaching staff coming in. Honestly, possibly.
Would you rather give him a 1-year deal than Daniel Jones a 3-year deal?
Oh.
Same average annual.
Yeah. What?
Don't look it up.
Same what?
No, average annual salary.
Okay. Yeah. I would do that.
Yeah.
1 year for Sam.
Yeah.
Because Jones,
come on,
3 years, dude. I don't know about that. But yeah, so obviously Sam Darnold, the first start of the season for him. Obviously, a Zach Wilson-esque start, I suppose.
Didn't turn it over.
No turnovers.
Didn't blame his teammates.
Had that crazy touchdown where he fumbled it, recovered it, and rolled into the end zone, which was hilarious. But I don't know. I mean, it looks okay. I guess his first start in like how many months, So I don't know, dude. I think I suppose he's better than having Mayfield, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, Mayfield is like Zach Wilson territory.
Oh my God.
Deonta Foreman, though, for the Panthers, another 100-yard game. He's up to 563 yards in the season, obviously taking over after Christian McCaffrey was traded to the 49ers.
How about the Panthers, huh? Like giving away their best player and then, string along a couple good wins here.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be enough for Steve Wilkes to have that job permanently unless they are able to rally and win the division. But I don't think that's happening. I would guarantee that Nathaniel Hackett's one and done here. Interesting part is too, the Broncos could have $50 million in dead cap and I think $80 million the following year if they release Russell Wilson. They don't have their own draft pick next year. They are in the worst situation in the NFL. But with all that dead money, I mean, I guess they're going to keep him and just hope a new coach can fix this mess. But I mean, what's the path moving forward here?
I don't know. Clean house.
Just hope for a
Right?
different result.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So
Matthew Gabriel says Mr. Unlimited sucks ass. He really does, dude.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Like what the hell?
Nothing to say, right?
No, nothing to say.
I've
Just
never
get rid of him.
How the mighty have fallen. Tony.
Bench him, dude.
How about Jacksonville though yesterday? 28-27, the 2-point conversion for the win yesterday. Trevor Lawrence, probably his best performance of his career.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Beating a team like Baltimore, who obviously is going to be in the playoffs here. He was 29 of 37, 3 touchdowns, didn't turn it over, was sacked 4 times. Did this without a running game too. I mean, they only ran the ball 20 times for 38 yards. But Zay Jones, the former Buffalo Bill and Oakland Raider at the time, obviously I know they're in Las Vegas now, 11 receptions, 145 yards. Another tough loss for the Ravens. It seems like all of their losses are the same way. So what stands out to you more here? The Ravens blowing it, Lamar, still like a tick off, or is it more impressive what Trevor Lawrence did leading the team down the field?
I think honestly, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you mentioned, obviously him coming into the league, highly touted out of Clemson. And he just really, it was, the coaching issues, the bullshit going on in Jacksonville that kind of clouded how
Meyer
he was doing.
kicking the kicker.
Yeah, dude. I mean, pretty like crazy stuff happened. His first couple of seasons, and I just think like seeing that last drive he was on, it was just him marching down the field. They were against the clock here. There was like less than a minute left. It was no huddle. It was calling plays at the line, finding the open man. I mean, the whole team seemed to kind of, really rally around Trevor Lawrence, and Lawrence did not miss a beat. And then 2-point conversion too. I mean, he's poised, he's collected, he's making, that easy throw, the route that tight end, I think it was a tight end over the middle. No, it was Jones over at the end. Again, like an easy throw like that, a design play, and he's just cool, he's calm, and he's making those easy throws. I would say that, watching Trevor Lawrence, I mean, if he keeps doing that, I mean, his line, 29 for 37, 321 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions. That's like a Super Bowl winning quarterback right there.
Yeah. And I think the key is finishing this season strong. They're not going to make the playoffs this year, but you finish with some momentum. You ride that into next season. Travis Etienne did leave this game with an injury, so hopefully everything's all right on that end. Speaking of 2-point conversions, the Chargers with one of their own at the end of the game. The kiss of death for the Arizona Cardinals.
Kiss of death,
Chargers
Tony.
win 25-24. Justin Herbert, has struggled this year at times. Was great in this one, 274, 3 scores, didn't turn it over, sacked 4 times. And he does this without Mike Williams. He featured DeAndre Carter and Austin Eckler in the passing game. Carter 7 for 73 in a score. Eckler 11 catches, 60 yards. Also ran for 20 yards on the ground, but had that receiving touchdown. Keenan Allen 5 receptions, 49 yards in a score. The Cardinals, I guess they ran the ball well, 181 yards and a score. Murray, not terrible, 191, 2 touchdowns, did have the 1 interception and sacked once. But the fact is, the Arizona Cardinals, Tony, who would ever thought this halfway through last year,
I know,
are 1-10, their last 11 home games.
Jeez.
At 4-8, obviously, pretty much out of the playoff conversation here. Kind of continues the theme we've had all season with them, how we don't see Kingsbury lasting there, and some swift changes have to be already in the making.
Do you think Murray gets out of there?
Big contract, dead cap. I think he has to stay there another year.
Jesus, dude. He's not good.
Yeah.
We do have another comment, if that's what you're looking at, by Brian Dittrich.
Do we know Brian Dittrich?
I don't believe so. So thanks for tuning in, Brian. He says, don't hate so much on Wilson. Manning was awful his first year too. Kid is young and everyone loved him for the potential. Just because you had a surprise season doesn't change the OG chart course.
Listen, I get it. We've seen crazy things. Josh Allen, obviously the biggest example in terms of how bad he looked, inaccurate his first couple years. However, I think the difference is, you speak of Peyton Manning. He threw so many interceptions, maybe almost 30 his rookie year. But the difference is he made simple throws, and he threw for a lot of yards. He just threw a lot of interceptions. Zach can't make the simple throws, and it's not like he's throwing a lot of interceptions, but he's just not completing a lot of passes. I think there's a difference there. Plus, Peyton Manning, you could see he was poised from day one, and it just doesn't seem like Zach Wilson has that poise or that leadership ability. And I think that's what holds him back. Yeah, it's just not there. You could see it with Manning. I don't think you see it with Wilson. But for also talking about a TO video.
Terrell Owens viral videos on TMZ. The video shows Terrell Owens kicking a heckler out of a CVS store. Are you aware of this?
I saw something quickly of it, but it's just funny. It's like one of those things. Which way is it going to go? Just in terms of, is it going to be, they're going to try to do charges against him, but I don't think they can, because, he was trying to protect the people in the store for some heckler. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, you have to come out, right? Like, what? Come on.
I mean, you would think. So that's just
Terrell Owens, for God's sake.
He was always one of my favorites.
Yeah, what do you?
An absolute legend.
What are you like busting his balls for? Like, honestly, you're an idiot.
How about Tony? The Raiders 40-34 in overtime in Seattle yesterday. I mean, who saw this coming?
I can't believe they won, honestly.
Josh Jacobs with over 300 total yards. Had 229 on the ground, including an 86-yard touchdown to win the game, 2 touchdowns on the ground, as well as 6 catches for 74 yards. They win this game despite Derek Carr throwing 2 interceptions. And, really, if you look at it on the receiving end, I mean, Adams had 7 for 74, but they didn't really feature him. But the key here was the Seattle defense could just not stop Jacobs. He had everything he wanted on the ground. And Seattle had so many opportunities to win this game. There was a controversial call with that fumble. I kind of think he did fumble it. But the point of the matter is Seattle in the big moment couldn't step up, make that one play to win this game. All I needed was a field goal, but they go 3 and out at the end there in overtime. So it's definitely a tough loss, especially after the way they lost to the Bucs in Germany. But I mean, it's 6-5, obviously season not over. 4-7. The Raiders will still need a prayer to save their season. But do you think a strong finish saves McDaniels' job?
No.
Really? You think Mark is going to pull the plug? Huh?
Yeah, done. Out. Get rid of
Carr
him.
out? They're saying maybe Rodgers in?
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Carr was dead when he hit the ground. I was so surprised, honestly, he was still playing. So I guess good for some grip there, but I mean, dude, like what are you really doing with him at quarterback?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the ship has sailed at that point. Honestly, I think if he did get injured, like a broken rib at that point, like out for quite a few weeks, I think that would have probably been the end of his stint with the Raiders.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been, but he guts it out. I mean, we'll see if there's any MRIs today. You never know. Last second.
Yeah.
The Chiefs keep on humming along here, 26-10 over the Rams. And I know, going into this game, I mean, they obviously covered the number here, but I think people were kind of thinking like 40-0. So they don't quite get that, but I don't think it matters. You're 9-2. You're at the top of the AFC. I mean, that's all you could ask for. And I think the biggest thing all season and finishing out this season, we know Chiefs most likely will have the best record in the AFC. The AFC will run through Arrowhead. I think it's just about Mahomes, continuing to develop rapport with the receivers that are on the team for the first year. Obviously, Valdez-Scantling, Smith-Schuster, Sky Moore, all who, played a role yesterday. And the fact is, too, I mean, you go up and down this list. He had 10 different receivers yesterday. Travis Kelce did have the 39-yard touchdown at the beginning of the game, which ended up being Mahomes' actually only touchdown pass. Isaiah Pacheco has done a solid job running the ball. And I mean, Bryce Perkins starting for the Rams, so they're 3-8. Did you see McVay get clobbered?
Oh my God, yeah, dude. First of all, I will say too, Scott Hansen was on something yesterday, because he was like, first of all, I thought like for red zone the production was actually pretty out of hand, because it was like big spots in a game and they're just going to a different game for a play or something coming back, get a little overwhelming. And Scott Hansen, poor McVay. It happens, in real time, and they're showing the game, and you just see whatever rookie it was just running up the sideline, bang, shoulder pad right to McVay's face. McVay's just like walking, looking at the field, and you just see in the back, I guess for you guys it would be like whatever in the back, and just You know, dude. It was funny, obviously, but then Scott Hansen's like, "Oh man, we're gonna need a slow-mo replay of that. Let's pull up that slow-mo replay. We're going to another game here, but I just want to make sure we hit that slow-mo replay to see Sean McVay getting hit by his rookie player." And it was just like, wow, dude, I feel sorry for the guy a little bit. I mean, he gets absolutely clobbered, and they show the slow-mo, of course they do, and it's literally just like there's a freeze frame, and it's just like. And he just the headset flies off. And then you see him talking to whoever on the sideline, whatever assistant coach, and he's just like got kind of like a blackish eye thing going on right now. And he's just like, oh man, my fucking jaw is killing me. And people are laughing at him. And obviously, it's all over Twitter. It's all over social media. And it's pretty interesting because the guy running on the field, the rookie, just had absolutely no idea what he did, what he ran into, because he was like putting his helmet on, so he wasn't seeing anything. He probably just felt the little bump on his shoulder, and then just went on his business. By the way, Brian is Shaggy. I had no idea.
Shaggy,
Gaming Corner, Shaggy.
Oh, right. My apologies.
Yeah.
Thank you for
he says,
in.
we have some great points. Just don't build hype and pull the rug so fast.
20 games, though, isn't fast, though. That's
I know it's not as fast, but he's saying Bengals fan, he 20 years of average before they had a decent quarterback. League QBs are very, very rare to find.
So if you have, and listen, I'm not attacking him. Obviously, I get what he's saying.
Stop attacking
him. All I would say, and I'll debate anybody, till the cows come home, Tony. There's a new one for our repertoire.
Oh, wow.
But they're already from 3 starts. There's so much more superstar potential with Mike White than there is Zach Wilson. That's it. I'm sorry. There's nothing. It's indefensible. It literally is indefensible. Zach Wilson is Blaine Gabbert. He's Jamarcus Russell. He's Achilles Smith going back to the Bengals, a long way. He's Jake Locker. He's Josh Rosen. I've just seen this story too many times. It's not going to work.
What happens if you guys, get rid of Zach Wilson and he becomes a superstar somewhere else, though?
It's not. Yep. This is Giannis winning the title with the Bucks, Tony. I'm sorry. I knew this such a long time ago too, and I tried my hardest. That's the thing. It's not like I didn't try. Tried my hardest.
You didn't try very hard
to wait it out. 20 games is a long time, though. Like I said, this is the NFL in 2022. You would have a case in 98. Not in 2022, the way the league is advanced. It's that simple. And it's like, listen, I don't mean to. Sure, Zach Wilson could have a comeback story. Maybe this humbles him, but he kind of almost reminds me of Josh Rosen, honestly. Obviously he was drafted a little higher than Rosen, but same kind of thing. And it's like, where's Rosen now? It's unfortunate. And one thing too, I just wanted to mention, easy on Hansen. All right, he's an absolute legend.
He was acting like a real shithead yesterday. And you know what? He was doing one thing too, which, someone who works in production, when the talent's like, oh yeah, we're gonna pull up this replay of whatever from like 10 seconds ago. And it's just like, what are you talking about? He kept calling for the replay of, I think, Derek Carr getting hit.
Oh, you know what I would actually ask you?
This isn't just like some magic show. It's, let me just pull this replay out of the air and put it on the screen for you, dude.
Have you listened to the NFL Red Zone with Andrew Siciliano?
No.
Well, once you do, you will never say one bad word about Scott Hansen again.
So you're settling for mediocrity? Is that what you're saying, dude?
Have you?
Who's this? No, is he that?
DirecTV. Oh, it's such a bore. It really, it's atrocious, Tony. Absolutely atrocious. So, if someone has a Sunday ticket package, definitely check that out because it is gross. Let's just put it that way. Kind of a gross win, but a win's a win. Niners 13-0, at Levi Stadium, shutting out the Saints here, who have not been shut out, I believe they said, since 2001, which is 5 years before Drew Brees came to town. So you think about how long it's been since that happened. And it's almost like a Zach Wilson situation. What are the Saints thinking, continuing to roll Andy Dalton out there? His days as a starting quarterback were over 4 years ago. I just don't understand the sense. You have a special player like Taysom Hill. Feature him if you don't want to put Jameis out there. I know you're concerned. Yeah. Oh, he had some injuries, want him to be okay. But it's like, then put him in there. It doesn't make any sense. I know 4-8, you technically have a chance, but this is the time now. Make a change now after this game, because there's talent on this team. I know Kamara fumbled a couple of times here, but Chris Olave is pretty good. Jarvis Landry, if he's going to get targets, he could play well. And then I already mentioned Taysom Hill. So I think now is the time there. As far as the Niners, like I said, I would have expected them to score more here. Jimmy G, kind of did his check down Charlie here, 222 yards, touchdown, no interception, was sacked once. They ran for 96 yards on the ground. So just didn't really get anything going offensively. But the defense stepped up. They only had one sack of Dalton. But like I said, those fumble turnovers were big. And San Francisco just keeps on churning along. They've now won 4 straight games. So they go from 3-4 to 7-4. And as I've mentioned many times, no one wants to play them. Come postseason time. And it's kind of interesting too. I was just looking at this. The last game of this season, I guess it could be flex, so we don't know the time schedule there. But they're pretty much, if we consider the late window part as the primetime games, pretty much have primetime the rest of the way. 4:05 this week against the Dolphins, 4:25 the following week against the Bucks, at Seattle, 8:15, home to the Commanders, 4:05, Raiders, 4:05, and then finish up with the Cardinals. That's a tough schedule for San Francisco, but I do think they are pretty much better than all those teams. Maybe you want to say the Dolphins, one more win, maybe they're a little better offensively as well. But I still think when it comes to the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers are at the top of the list in terms of Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously you mentioned their defense and everything, but I think their offense could get going a little more.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is going to be like I guess like an indication of what could be about, how they were going to play in the playoffs. I think they're going to score way more than 13 points, honestly.
Yeah.
And Jimmy G had a great game. And just he didn't have much to show for it, I guess.
Yeah.
Threw for what, 22
yards, one touchdown.
Yeah. So,
and then the final game here of Sunday, we saw the Eagles outlast the Packers 40-33. So the Eagles moved to an NFL best 10-1. And the story of this game was Jalen Hurts. What he did on the ground, he had 100 yards in the first quarter rushing the ball.
Unbelievable.
157 yards rushing. He threw for 2 scores, passed for 153. Obviously, gas off the pedal a little bit in the fourth quarter there. Miles Sanders also had a great game, 143 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Probably the best game of his career. And Hurts wasn't asked to do much through the air, but did hit A.J. Brown and Quez Watkins for touchdowns. You think about the defense here. Picked off Rodgers twice, only held him to 140 yards. Had to leave with an injury. Sacked 3 times. Did allow a long touchdown to Christian Watson late. 63-yard touchdown for the Packers there. But a 4-8. Rodgers injured. Big dead cap situation coming up next year. The Packers are a complete mess. So what do they do with the GM, the coach, Rodgers? A lot of questions to be answered. So I guess we'll see what happens, but there's no way they're going on a run now. And as far as the Eagles here, I've kind of thought, a little bit of a tough schedule, but 10-1, weak schedule, to start the season anyway. 10-1 is 10-1, so you have to respect that. But you got the Titans and the Giants the next 2 weeks, so 2 teams that are expected to make the playoffs. Where do you see the Eagles in terms of the hierarchy of the NFL?
Overall?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of tough. I guess I could see them probably sitting like 3rd or 4th, you know, having like Kansas City,
Buffalo,
possibly Buffalo, Miami.
Yeah. San Francisco?
I don't think San Francisco.
So you think San Francisco loses NFC Championship game at Lincoln Financial if that happens?
Yeah.
Wow.
I do.
Interesting. So great start for Philly. So we'll see how they kind of finish out here. Monday Night Football game is a doozy. I'm sure, I don't know if there's a Manning cast, but I'm sure if there is one, everyone would be tuning to that version of this game, as we have the 3-7 Steelers, the 4-6-1 Colts. Obviously the Jeff Saturday led Colts have had some more fight in them since letting go of Frank Reich. The Steelers were in that game last week with Cincinnati before ultimately falling. So this is interesting in terms of the Colts. Only 2-point favorites here. Total set very low at 39.5. Neither team most likely will be in the playoffs. I mean, the Colts technically could go on a run here. What do you think here, Tony? Kind of a mess of a game, no?
Yeah, I guess, dude. But I mean, I think, Colts, maybe a little late season push here. Steelers dead in the water.
I think
right?
For the Steelers' benefit, and Chokri was talking about this when we had him on Friday, they're probably better off just losing out. You know what I mean? And then just kind of getting some clarity with Pickett. He hasn't played like Zach Wilson, also hasn't played great either. And the tough part with him, he's already 25. You know what I mean? So you don't have a long time to grow. And if they get a top 3 pick, a top 2 pick, first overall pick, whatever it is, I mean, how do you not take a quarterback?
Yeah, I know, right?
So it could be one and done there. I like George Pickens. I think Najee Harris with a good offensive line is good, but you got to improve that offensive line. So sitting here, 2-point favorites. Judging from that, I'm expecting you're going to say Colts big, or what do you think here? As I have to adjust.
Oh no, dude! Oh, he's going down under, dude. I would say Colts. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be very high. I mean, I guess it could kind of be high scoring.
Does it go over 39.5?
39.5.
20-17 is under.
No.
Yeah.
2017 is under. Give me like 24-10.
24-10.
Yeah.
Colts. I don't want to just give you a pick here. Usually I like to go heads up, but I think the Colts, I think they'll just run it down their throat with Taylor. Ryan will make some throws when he needs to. I'm going to say 17-7.
Wow.
Kind of an interesting score.
Very interesting. Speaking of picks, though, how are we doing?
I have 23 points. You have 19.
Oh.
We got, a little more than a month here till this ends. So plenty of time left. So I mean, it was definitely an interesting week 12 here. Hopefully we'll have some excitement, come the game tonight, but obviously 2 teams that aren't expected, to be in the playoffs. So we will see.
Matthew Gabriel says Jeff Saturday takes over at center.
That would
halftime.
be quite the story. Definitely quite the story.
That would be ridiculous. Player coach.
Nuts. You know what else is nuts? The world of the National Hockey League.
Here's Matthews. Scores! Hat-trick goal! My goodness, this is a great shot. Big hit on the far side by McCarr. He flattens Jordan's skull. Oh my goodness! That's the gun right back. Terrifying and robbed by Shesterkin. That's brilliant from Igor Shesterkin. It's a breakaway to win it in overtime. McDavid scores the winner in overtime.
All I know is when I'm scrolling through my Twitter newsfeed and I see Tony liking, this is why Gallant has had abrupt exits at his other stops. Like I know the tide has turned, and Tony is finally seeing stuff from my side of the woods here as the Rangers blow a 3-0 lead on Saturday to Edmonton, losing 4-3. Edmonton, of course, with 4 goals in the third period. What an embarrassment. And the Rangers have a lot to worry about. Devils coming in hot. Game tonight. But first, this game, I mean, what a complete joke. What's there to even say here, Tony?
I guess, the Rangers, they were up 3 goals. I mean, I guess maybe they thought, it's just kind of
worst lead in hockey.
Play some defense.
Isn't that what they say, or is that 2 goals?
2-goal lead is the worst lead.
Why, though?
Because all it takes is just 1 goal, and then it's right back in.
But you know why? But you know why? It's the competitive nature. It's the letting up. Oh, 2-goal. Let's be careful.
Let's be careful.
You never take your foot off the pedal.
Exactly.
Same thing in any sport, really.
Exactly. You're 2 goals away. You're like, let's play defense, whatever. You give 1 goal. You're 1 lucky bounce away from tying the game.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what the Rangers mentality was in that third period was let's just play some defense, hold the puck, not do anything crazy. If I were the Rangers, I would circle our next game on the calendar with Edmonton, because there should be fights off the face-off. Like, I'm not even kidding. What Draisaitl did, I don't know if you saw, Draisaitl slapped Trouba's stick out of his hand while he was skating back to the bench, celebrating a goal. I mean, that's just unacceptable, and no one did anything about it. That's so stupid, dude. It's
Leadership void?
really it's what?
Is there a leadership void?
Obviously, first of all, he's the fucking captain.
Well, but see, here's another thing.
Oh
I
gosh,
said
Brian,
before
just
the
cut me off
season.
again. Why don't you?
I said it before the season. He's not a captain, Tony. That's it. That's all I'm saying. So we see evidence of this now. We see evidence of a coach, a leadership problem, a head coach. I'm just saying, I saw these things coming from a mile away.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I don't think, it's nothing where like Jacob Trouba can't step up and decide to be a captain. I mean, it's not, it's not hard. Not necessarily that's not hard, but I mean, there's easy things to do when you're a captain. There's obvious choices, I should say. There's things that are obvious when you're a captain. One of which is to beat the shit out of someone who slaps a stick out of your hand after he scores a goal on you. I mean, there's no reason for him to just skate by looking defeated. You're the captain, Again, I mean, if I'm the Rangers, it's one thing to lose to a shit team like Edmonton right now. Excuse me. But to just be embarrassed like that, collapsing in the third period, showing absolutely no backbone, you're going to get like just bopped around the rest of the NHL if you're going to let the rest of the teams know that. That's you're just okay with just kind of laying down and taking it. Absolutely the fuck not, dude. Like, I'll get on that ice. Like, what are we doing, dude?
Who I know it's everybody, it's collective, but
everybody.
Who's the who's taking the fall here? I mean, if it continues, I mean, we probably know who that is, right? I mean,
like Gallant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, they lose 5 in a row right now. He might be gone after that.
You could be right, but I mean, again, it's not even just Gallant.
7-0 Devils tonight. Is he gone?
No.
Tomorrow? He should be.
Excuse me, it'll tickle my throat.
Just a little tickle, Tony.
Listen, I don't think you should be downplaying the fact that
Just a little tickle, Tony.
I don't think you should be downplaying the fact that the Rangers are sucking, dude. It's not necessarily just about Gallant. I understand he sets the tone. It's his, I guess it's
sums
his
of the part.
Yeah, I suppose so. But at one point or another, you have to hold your players accountable. I mean, Gallant didn't blow that.
Can't hold them accountable.
Gallant didn't blow that 3-game lead. The players on the ice did.
But I don't know. I just think if you have a coach that inspires you, you don't play like this.
You're probably right, but
so then why? You know what I mean? I guess my question to you is, what is the benefit of keeping him at the helm at this point?
Well, I mean, he was a coach that was part of a rebuild. He does know this team. The Rangers are beginning to become in a spot where they need to start winning now, and I think that coaching change it may set them back a couple weeks in terms of how this coach is going to be, what's he going to want to do, how is he going to play his players, what lines he's going to have. And I don't think that Gallant's gone. We're the best team in the league now. Like it's not the way it is.
But dude, I've seen a reaction so many times to a fired coach, Girardi. My favorite.
Yeah. I mean, you see it in sports. We saw it last year. In Canada. But I mean, where did the Canadiens get to at that point? It still took them time to adjust to St. Louis. They had maybe a good 4 games after you got hired, but then after that, it was just that's
David Blatt. Tony.
David Blatt.
Do you know him?
No.
So he was the Cavs coach. They had the best record in the Eastern Conference at the All-Star break. Canned. Ty Lue comes in, championship. 3-1 down, won it. Best NBA finals ever. Whole point being, you could fire a coach and win a championship. And let's just do it now. I'm sorry. I have a hard time believing that the majority of the players like Gerard Gallant. I'm sorry. I have no inside source for that. He just kind of seems like an ass, honestly.
No, you're probably right, honestly. And I mean, you look at it. They just got rid of Ryan Reeves, right? And I mean,
I don't know about that one. Like, was that the right way to go?
Well, looking back at it now, one thing we certainly need is someone to fucking fight somebody.
Yeah.
So it's not looking great right now, but I mean, I think in the long shot, yeah. I think the Rangers are trying to adapt a quicker style of play here, and Ryan Reeves can't really keep up. He's an older body. He's great as an enforcer. He's a good body on the ice. But is he really doing the team great in the long run? Probably not. But again, right now, I would have loved to have him. Dude, if he saw Draisaitl hit the stick out of Trooper's hand, he would have came off the bench and just fought everybody. But nonetheless, Matthew says, why the fuck did they get rid of Reeves? I just told you. He also stop coughing. We sanitized the mics. Don't worry, dude. But yeah, so obviously a really tough spot the Rangers are in right now. They're up against the Devils in the Garden too tonight, which I'm not really excited about. Because if you ask me, I don't think the Rangers are going to win this game.
So this is the plank game where you go the other direction.
It could be.
I mean, obviously with Halak starting, you would 100% think the Devils.
Is Halak starting
against his old team revenge spot? You wouldn't be at least tempted by that, or
no?
Igor unconfirmed, Vanacek unconfirmed. But what else? Everybody's unconfirmed.
Tarasov confirmed for Columbus.
But yeah, I hate the way they're playing. And I just think they need something to spark them. Whether that's a trade or the head coach. But like I said, it's like with Thibs with the Knicks. I just don't see the future. You know what I mean? That's the biggest problem. If you're not part of the future, what are you doing here? Why do we need you here?
They were saying too that they got rid of Reeves to free up some cap space
for Kane.
Patrick Kane.
How is he having a good year? Do we know?
Actually, I have no idea what his numbers are. I can take a look here.
I know the Blackhawks are doing real bad.
I think Taves is leading the team right now.
So Kane, first of all, here, 19. So he's 34. And what does he have for goals?
So far in the season, 21 games played, 3 goals, 13 assists.
What are we doing?
So yeah, not a lot, obviously, dude. So that's not great. But you know what, dude? I guarantee you, if his stock is low because of that trade deadline, pick him up. You change the scenery.
Damage goods.
Rangers? No, I don't think so.
Damage goods.
He has not lost an edge on his skate yet. He's still a great skater, and I think you put him with the Rangers, who can get him the puck. I think he'll score. He's still a phenomenal skater.
It's over.
The thing is, I knew the wind didn't open that door. That was none but the great Michael Theophil. How you doing, sir?
Got Michael's hand in there.
But yeah, I don't want Kane. You know what I mean? I don't want a diminished return.
What do you want then?
Goudreau. Honestly, just trade for him. I don't care whatever the package is, Tony. Columbus isn't going anywhere at 7-12.
How long did they sign him for?
Probably 6 years or something.
Yeah, I think something crazy like that, dude.
Or what about Clay? You think the
Clayton Kershaw?
Keller. Would you give up next year's first for Keller? Clayton Keller?
I mean, I'd have to see what this draft class looks like, but probably, yeah.
I feel like something like that. Let's not acquire somebody whose best hockey is behind them. I just don't see a point in that.
Yeah, I guess you're not wrong. But I've been talking about someone who's can be a leader. Patrick Kane, I know he's on the captain of the Blackhawks, but someone who's had Stanley Cup experience, playoff experience, knows how to handle, young players, how to handle like coaches, front office. I mean, this guy has literally made a career in the league as being one of the best hockey players that Chicago has had, which is a lot because Chicago has a very long history. So, I mean, I understand he's old, but you pick him up maybe for, pennies to the dollar of what he's actually worth because he's older. He's not having, a very productive season. You throw him onto a good line.
But could you see, I know we're going cross sports here, but why I'm scarred by the whole bargain bin situation. Like I only want the best, Tony. I don't want mediocrity. And I think, honestly, all the guys we acquired last year at the trade deadline were better than Patrick Kane at this point in their career.
Matthew says definitely get Kershaw. Yeah, but like
Patrick win in the postseason.
Kane is not bad.
He's not good. He's not.
He
great.
is good though.
He's average.
He's playing for a team that he doesn't want to play for right now. He's dying to leave. Patty Kane. No, Evander Kane, dude, forget about it.
Stretch run? I would take him.
I would take him too.
Yeah.
Especially like screw the Oilers, dude. They're fucking jerk offs.
But you know what I thought was very interesting?
What did you think was interesting?
What do you think I'm going to say? One game from yesterday. I think you're going to get it wrong. But what game am I going to talk about?
Minnesota?
No.
Arizona.
Oh. I mean, obviously Arizona with Connor Ingram. What do you want me to say there?
I don't know. That's interesting.
No, that we
Canucks.
No.
Wait, hold on.
But there's only one more game left. Oh, there's actually two.
No, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
All right, the Kings, dude. They at this point it's 5 out of 7 that they've lost. They're still 12-9 up at the Senators, quick in net. I was kind of surprised by that. No,
I guess so.
5 out of 7. They were one of the hottest teams in the league.
No, yeah, I mean they are. Claude Giroux in overtime. I mean, what are you gonna do? I think the fact that it just looks like the Kings didn't have much offense going. They scored twice in the power play from the same guy, Galiev. You got to score, dude. I mean, Ottawa, although they're bad, I mean, Chachuk is decent, and Claude Giroux. I mean, talk about another veteran. Came up big in overtime here. I don't know. I'm not crazy. I'm not like, whoa, dude. I mean, Ottawa's gonna have to win some games. The Kings are gonna have to lose some games. I really don't think Ottawa is as bad as they are on paper, or at least as the record shows it. But I guess call me optimistic, I suppose. But why, you worried about the Kings? Are they your team now, dude?
No.
I got a nice Gretzky Kings jersey from the 90s you can start wearing.
Tony, it was just an observation. Obviously, there's concern at the Garden.
Maybe an Oilers fan now?
I want to
win.
I want to get to what a save by Shesterkin. That's what I want to get to.
He's had some great saves.
I like that. Talking about the bite from the playoffs, Ferraro, Game 7s. I want that. And right now, are we going to make the playoffs?
Yeah.
See that goal by the Devils? Hit the dude in the head.
Yeah. Dude, it was the most ridiculous angle I've seen in a while. This is why.
Becoming a Devils fan.
No, I'm not.
No, he knows that we'll never let him hear the end of that.
I'm just someone who appreciates good hockey. God forbid.
I still just, I honestly, I don't get the thing with the Bruins. Like, what is the obsession with the Bruins? I know, big 3-0 comeback against the Hurricanes. I think on Saturday, whatever it was. No, it was Friday.
Friday. It's just that
good hockey. Good hockey.
I mean,
rivalries don't matter.
No, it's not.
Rivalries don't matter. We love Boston. We love Boston.
It really has nothing to do with the Bruins. It could have been any team. It's just that at that time, like, they're winning, so I'm going to pick them in our pick segments. Heck yeah, dude. I mean, I'm not a
You're
fool.
excited that you're cheesing when you're talking about it.
Because I know they're going to win, and I'll get points in the picks.
All right. Well, speaking of
have
points,
another cookie, okay?
Speaking of points in the picks, Tony, there's 6 games today, 3 apiece. Very interested. I think you're avoiding the Ranger game. I really do. I really think you're not confident. Devils have won 18 out of 22 to start the year. You're bugging.
Yeah. My first game here. Give me Toronto.
Exactly.
They're gonna be in Detroit here. I think Matt Murray's gonna be in net. I know you have Husso for the Red Wings here, but I just think with the way Toronto's been playing, I mean, Toronto at -165. I understand the Red Wings are doing well. 11-5-4 here to Toronto's 13-5-5. I just think Toronto's been on recently. Tavares is looking good. I honestly, I mean, the usual suspects in the team that I always mention basically every day. But I just think that they're going to overpower the Red Wings. I understand Husso's a great goalie, but I think he's going to be overpowered by Toronto's forwards here. I think the Red Wings will be able to score a few times, but Matt Murray's been on fire as well for Toronto. So give me Toronto here. I'll say 4-2.
Okay. Kind of interesting, but I guess as long as I just want to make sure Brian Elliott, who likes to, Vasilevsky unconfirmed, but we'll just assume he's going against it. I'm curious if you've ever heard of this goalie from the Sabres. Probably not. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
I was looking at him until he face off. The name Luukkonen sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
Are you thinking of Lauri Markkanen from the NBA?
No, definitely not.
But yeah, I mean, the Sabres, I know they had a nice win the other day, but I think it's just another long season, unfortunately. KeyBank, I mean, maybe 60% full tonight, if that. Kucherov and the boys, I think they're fired up. I could see Vasilevsky, who's been up and down this year to start, having a very good game. Maybe 35 saves on 37 shots. But give me the Lightning 5-2 over the Buffalo Sabres.
We're looking up some stats on our boy Ukko-Pekka. Was it Luukkonen?
Ukko-Pekka Ukkonen.
23, young buck, drafted by Buffalo 2017, second round. Wow, 23rd pick, 54th overall. He's from Finland, dude. Any stats at all? Last 5 games. He's had 2 starts in the last 5 games. Won 1, lost 1, gave up 2 against St. Louis in the win, gave up 4 against Toronto in the loss. Wow, 36 saves against St. Louis. I think that says a lot. Yeah. Anyway, so next game here. Let's see. You took the Lightning, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess give me the Golden Knights. I mean, you mentioned Columbus before. You said they're going nowhere. They're not going anywhere, dude. And with the Golden Knights, 16-6, one of the best teams in the league right now. I think there's gonna be Swiss cheese, honestly, for them. Logan Thompson unconfirmed right now, but Danny Tarasov confirmed for the Blue Jackets. I suppose that's good. I mean, it's 2-3 in the season, 3.46 goals against. I almost said ERA again. But Thompson's been on fire. A tick below 3 goals against, and then anytime Thompson gives up a few goals, Golden Knights are there to kind of score. Jack Eichel, Pietrangelo as well. I mentioned Gaudreau, who's leading the team, the Columbus that is, in assists and points, 7 goals, 13 assists in the season. I don't know. I guess that's good for Gaudreau, but I don't think it's anything where he wants to be. Give me the Vegas Knights here, 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue, right? I mean, Logan Thompson, all of that.
All of that, he says. Now, let's see. Who are you picking over here? What's next? You gonna pick the Oilers?
So I would say, it's like, how can I pick the Oilers though? I don't like the way they're playing.
You on Blues?
Yeah. I hate the Stars. I don't know. I just don't think they're good.
The Stars were, correct me if I'm wrong, another team last year who was giving you some issues in picks, I think.
Yeah, but they're not good. They're not exciting. Mike Modano is not coming out of retirement.
Better record than the Blues right now.
Yeah, but the Blues had that tough stretch.
Yeah.
Then they regroup. So I'm going to say here, Blues, 4-0 at home. I don't like what I'm seeing out of the Stars, and I just think the Blues can rally here. Bennington pitching the shutout, Tony. How many times did we say that last season?
Too many times, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what we got. We got a couple games left here. You have the Panthers at Oilers, and you have the Devils at Rangers game here. Give me the Rangers tonight. Rangers coming out here, obviously big rivalry game in the Garden here. This is going to be a time, I think, where a little bit of a turning point, I think, for the season for the Rangers here. I think they're going to realize that coming to this Garden, there's going to be a phenomenal crowd for them. There's going to be a pumped up Rangers fan base. Yeah, you'll have some Devils fans in the crowd, but who cares? Rangers come out here, physical, quick, matching the Devils' speed. The Rangers, pestering them on defense with Adam Fox, who's been doing really well. Trouba's been doing okay on defense, I suppose. But nonetheless, I think that they're going to, force a lot of turnovers for the Devils. I think the Devils are going to maybe think overlooking, Rangers are in a dead spot right now. We've been on a roll. We're going to go to the Garden. We're going to show them who's who. But in reality, you're going to hear that big save by Shesterkin. And I think Devils are going to take this one.
Wow. First time ever.
No, sorry. Rangers are going to take this one. No, Rangers taking this one.
Said Devils.
No, Rangers are taking this one. 2-1, Michael.
In overtime or no?
Regulation.
Who hits the game winner?
Kreider.
Do they give Gallant the ice bath or no?
No.
Have they ever done that in hockey, like even for the cup or no?
Yeah, definitely.
But that's the only time, right? Like
basically. I mean, you're already freezing in there. So
hypothermia or no?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's see. Last pick here. Give me the Panthers. Oilers. I just haven't seen it. I know nice win against the Rangers, but the Rangers are scuffling. Chachuk, only 9 goals. He's going for double digits today. So give me the Panthers here. 4-2 over the Oilers. It's crazy. Are the Oilers going to make yet another coaching change? Maybe Barry Trotz.
You never know,
making his
dude.
way to Edmonton. You know what was interesting? I was looking up too Edmonton's history. Like, I know back in the day they were pretty good, but they had like over 10 years they didn't make the playoffs. Like in like the, I want to say early 2000s.
Yeah. Pretty
Like,
crazy,
just
right?
Consistently. Was it the Gretzky curse, Tony?
Oh, he definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's see. I mean, really, up to this point, you could argue, this is the biggest game, of the Rangers season. So you really want to see them respond in some way here. But I guess we will have to see. But other than that, Tony, anything else here as we come to a close?
Things that happened over the weekend. I don't think so. I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, dude. We're looking forward to some good hockey tonight, dude.
Yeah. Big game for the Rangers. Let's get it done. Set the tone. But really appreciate all the interaction today. Everybody tuning in and
Great interaction.
Continuing to comment, like, and subscribe. The archives on the YouTube page. Tony, Michael, Renee in costume. The merch, downtimetv.com. Everybody enjoy the day, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do.